Now, when we talk about Earth as a home of humankind or the living beings, first of all, the Earth has got green vegetation, blue-green oceans, islands, streams, rivers, land masses, okay? Land masses which include continents, mountains, ice caps, and deserts, coldest part, warmest part, right? All these things we can find on Earth. What are those features? It has water on it. The most important thing is that it has water on it. First. Number two is it has got all essential gases in the atmosphere which are required for the living beings for their survival. Then number three is the optimum temperature. Because of such a position, right? It is neither too close to sun nor it is too far off from the sun. So it has got an optimum temperature condition, which is again suitable for maximum living beings. Okay, and another thing is the green vegetation which we were discussing just now. Okay, so all these features make it a habitable planet where the life can survive. Now, when we talk about moderate temperature, Earth, as you have seen in the earlier picture, Earth is the third planet from Sun, right? Neither too close nor too far off. So its average temperature, what remains on Earth, is between 17 to 20 degrees, which is suitable for all the living beings altogether. So average temperature changes only for a few degrees. But when we talk about Mercury, Venus, these are very hot planets, right? And even Venus is the second planet. But one fact is there, Mercury being the first, Venus is the hottest planet, not the Mercury. Why it is so? Because on Venus, the atmosphere which is there on Venus, it is highly composed of carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is one such gas, children, which is known for its greenhouse effect, right? And which causes the temperature of Venus to rise very high. So this is the reason why Venus is more hotter than Mercury. Then in the atmosphere of Earth also we are having carbon dioxide, but in very small quantity. Now regarding atmosphere, first of all, what is atmosphere? The layer of air which is surrounding the Earth's surface is called the atmosphere. Now related to atmosphere, a few important things are there. It is mainly composed of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide and many such inert gases, water vapor and all. And basically in large amount nitrogen is present. You can see 78% of nitrogen, oxygen is 21%. Rest of 1% is actually composed of all the other gases. It receives heat from the sun by solar radiation, but it loses its heat with the help of the terrestrial radiation which is coming out from the earth. And several such life supporting gases which are present in the atmosphere of Earth make the life possible on Earth. Which are those life supporting gases? You can say oxygen, which we inhale, right? Carbon dioxide, which the plants need. Number 3, nitrogen, which is again an essential part of the living beings. And ozone, water vapor, these are the essential gases which are present in the atmosphere of Earth. Ozone, now ozone which is present, it does not allow the harmful part of the ultraviolet rays which are coming from the sun in the form of its radiation, right? Thus it saves us. So all these gases help in survival of life on Earth. Now when we talk of water, basically water which is present on Earth, it is almost covering 70%, 70 to 75% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. And this distribution of water on large area of Earth is responsible for moderating the climate. It does not allow the temperature of Earth to go very high. So water is essential for the living beings, right? But along with that, it keeps the climate also moderate. Now next we have to talk here about is the hydrological cycle. Hydrological cycle, or many times we also call it as water cycle, simple. Now what is it? It is composed of 3 main processes. You can see here Number one is evaporation, then condensation and precipitation. Now what are these? Evaporation, whenever any water body which is there on the earth's surface, when sun rays come, because of the heat, the evaporation goes on, water changes into water vapor. And this water vapor being lighter in weight, it rises up in the atmosphere. And at greater height when it reaches, it gets condensed. Because of low temperature at that height, it gets condensed. Okay? The water vapor converts into small droplets of water. That forms a cloud. And when it becomes too heavy to hold anymore there at that height, it falls back on the earth's surface in the form of precipitation. So these are the three processes which complete the water cycle. Now water absorbs heat and without causing much change in its in the temperature of earth, right, or the temperature of water itself, it keeps on absorbing heat more and more, and it releases heat at night. This feature of water helps in keeping the moderate condition of temperature on the earth. Now you can see by this, the water cycle or hydrological cycle will be very clear to you. Let's talk about these three processes one by one. Here you can see evaporation is going on, right? Evaporation from the earth's surface is going on one side. Evapotranspiration. Transpiration means the water vapor which is actually released by the plants and vegetation, okay, or plants and trees. So that is called transpiration. So in this manner, water vapor is going up in the atmosphere, right? Side by side, condensation is going on. You can see the clouds. Here the condensation is going on at that great height. And again, it is coming back in the form of precipitation. In certain cases, it is in the form of rainfall. Some other places, suppose at high altitudinal areas over the high mountains, it is in the form of ice or snowfall, right? So in this manner, again, it is coming back to the earth. One side, evaporation is taking away the water in the form of water vapor, gaseous state. It is going up in the form of cloud. The condensation is going on and the cloud is there, and after the condensation, when the precipitation occurs, this water comes back on the earth's surface in different forms. Okay, it can be rainfall, it can be drizzle, it can be snowfall, it can be sleet, it can be hail, right? These are the different forms of precipitation. So once again, the water has come back on the earth's surface. Now this water, when it comes back on the earth's surface, some part of it runs off. That means whenever the rainfall occurs, this water flows away and it joins any of the water bodies, oceans, seas or lakes or any rivers. But some part of this water is absorbed inside the earth, okay, and this water again somehow it joins the water bodies by the various ways. It is coming out and it is joining the water bodies. Now ultimately, all that cyclic movement which goes on, right, this is only called as water cycle, or the other name of it is hydrological cycle. Clear? Now the next is the solid crust. Okay, it is also called as lithosphere. Now what is it? Basically, due to the weathering of rocks, soil is formed on the earth's surface, right, which then supports the plant life. Now this soil which is present here, you can see in this picture, the soil which is present on the earth's surface, which is very, very important for the survival of plants. And it provides nutrients, growth of plants, which in turn support all the forms of animal life. Because plants, as you all know it very well, plants are called as the primary producers, right? And all the other living beings are dependent on plants. Clear? Now, what is actually biosphere? Biosphere, if you can see here, children, it is a narrow realm, you know, it is of contact and interaction between the three different spheres, that is atmosphere, lithosphere and hydrosphere, right? But one thing you should keep in mind, in this, the life exists. It is having a width of, you can say, maximum 15 kilometers. And at ground level, it extends to a depth of 3 meters. Over the earth's surface, it is till 3 meters in depth. And below the ocean water, you will find it goes till 200 meters of depth. Okay, that means what? Till that level, we can find some or the other living beings can survive. So that is a part of biosphere, where any type of any form of life is existing. There are two forms of biosphere. Okay, these are plant kingdom and the other is animal kingdom. One very important part of it is actually the, you can say, a functional and structural unit of biosphere is called ecosystem. It is basically, the definition of it, you can say, it is self-regulating and self-sustaining structural and functional unit of biosphere. For example, pond, lake, desert, grasslands, forest, all these are the examples of ecosystems, right? To understand biosphere, you can see the three circles are shown here, right? With the help of this Venn diagram, you can get a clear idea where all these three are meeting, right? Lithosphere, part of atmosphere, and a part of hydrosphere. But along with that, life is existing in it. That is actually forming the biosphere. Now, next is the important life giving cycles. These cycles are actually important for the survival of life on earth. Out of all these life giving cycles, the first important one is nutrition cycle. When we talk about nutrition cycle, you will find it represents a relationship between living and non-living things. Okay, it shows an interdependence of all the living beings on each other. Okay, the food chain you must have studied, food chain forms a part of it only. Now, all the living beings are divided basically into either producers, consumers, or decomposers, right? Where producers are basically the plants, primary producers. Consumers include the herbivores or carnivores or the omnivores. When we talk about decomposers, these include the saprotrophs. Okay, here you can see this is a simple flowchart which actually shows the nutrition cycle. From the very basic level, if you see autotrophs, right? This is actually the producer. That means the tree or plant, with the help of photosynthesis, they produce the energy, the food. This food is being taken up by the different levels. One side, it can be eaten up by the human beings, it can be eaten up by the herbivorous animals, right? Plant eating animals or the grass eating animals. Now, these grass eating animals are eaten up by the carnivorous animals. And then these carnivorous animals or the herbivorous animals or even the omnivorous, which are the human beings, right? All these, when they die, they get decomposed, their bodies get decomposed, and that is actually done by the saprotrophs. Now, these saprotrophs actually cause the decomposition of the bodies, and ultimately, these decomposed particles are given back to the soil. And this is the soil over which the plants again grow up. So ultimately, what you can see, the complete circle is being completed, right? Here, the complete cycle is going on, cyclic movement of the nutrition. And this is called the nutrition cycle. That means we all are interdependent, being a part of nutrition cycle. Okay. Now, next is the carbon cycle and oxygen cycle, right? Basically, if you try to see, you will find that basic raw material of all life is carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, right? All the living things contain carbon, all living things. And major reservoir of carbon is basically the atmosphere. And it is replenished through burning of fuels, respiration of animals and all. It is coming back to the atmosphere. Other cycles here we need to discuss here about is oxygen cycle and the other one is nitrogen cycle. These all emphasize the interrelationship and interdependence of all living as well as non-living things on the earth. When we talk about carbon cycle, carbon and oxygen, take it as the two part of this cycle, right? Carbon cycle, because all the living beings are made up of carbon. Okay, you can see here, the fossils and fossil fuels are totally carbon, right? Hydrocarbons, and they have high content of carbon in them. When these are used up by in the various vehicles or in the industries, these are giving out carbon. right? So this is one source by which the carbon dioxide is going in the atmosphere. By the plants and trees also, the carbon is being added up in the atmosphere, and during the night time, you can say, and by the animals and the human beings also, it is being given out in the atmosphere, because we inhale oxygen and we give out carbon dioxide. Now, this is how we are getting carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and some amount of it is already present in the atmosphere. Now, this carbon dioxide is being taken up by the plants. You can see here. Okay, this is being taken up by the plants or the trees, and in the process of photosynthesis, in the production of food, they actually use this carbon dioxide. Now they have taken up carbon dioxide. Again, when they die, they get added in the, they get decomposed, and that is added up in the soil. So ultimately, where does it go? The cyclic movement is going on, and this is called the carbon cycle. Same way, the oxygen cycle is also going on. It's very simple. Suppose carbon dioxide is given out by us, right? All the animals and the human beings, we all give out carbon dioxide on one side. Okay. So this carbon dioxide is being taken up by the plants. But on the other side, the plants give out oxygen. And this oxygen is being added up in the atmosphere. From atmosphere, we take in the oxygen and then we give out carbon dioxide. So both ways it is going on, and it works in a balanced way, right? The trees take in they take in carbon dioxide and they give out oxygen. But the human beings and the animals, they take in the oxygen and they give out carbon dioxide. So there is always a balance which is maintained on the earth. And that is why, if you remember, if you know about anything related to this term, which is called global warming means the temperature of the entire earth is getting increased day by day, right? And one big reason of it is increase in the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of earth. And behind that, one big reason is cutting down of forest areas. Reduction in the area covered by forest is one big reason for that. So once again, I'm telling you, to maintain a balance, to let all these cycles continue, right, in a balanced manner, we need to plant more and more trees. So this is about the carbon cycle and oxygen cycle. Now one more cycle is there to be discussed here. This is the last topic which we need to discuss, that is nitrogen cycle. Now basically, if you know anything about it, the protein is basically, it is one of the essentials in the living beings, right? This protein has got high content of nitrogen in it. Now from where do we get protein? All the living beings, from where do we get protein? Either from plants or from animals, right? Now this protein we are getting from these plants and animals, this protein has got high content of nitrogen. Now the thing comes, from where do the plants get their nitrogen? Now you can see here, nitrogen which is there in the atmosphere, right? Nitrogen is one of the most important gases in the atmosphere of Earth. Rather, you can say it is the largest amount of gas which is present in the atmosphere of Earth is nitrogen only. Now this nitrogen comes to the Earth's surface in different ways. One is by the lightning, okay, one. Number two is that by the nitrogen fixing bacteria. If you know anything about the leguminous plants, there are a few plants like the pea and several pulses and all. These are called leguminous plants because they have the nodules in their roots, okay, and these nodules help a lot in nitrogen fixing because they have got nitrogen fixing bacteria in them. And that is why, if you have heard about the pulses which are grown as a part of the rotation, crop rotation, right, there is nothing wrong in that. It is working a lot in giving back the fertility to the soil. That means, suppose if we are growing one crop which takes away all the maximum nitrogen content of the soil, after that we grow generally these pulses, which again gives back the nitrogen to the soil. In what way? They take the nitrogen from the atmosphere, and these nitrogen fixing bacteria, they convert this nitrogen into nitrates, and this nitrate is given back to the soil in the form of the nutrients. Okay, and these plants, when they grow up, they get protein in this manner, right? And these plants, when they are eaten up by the animals, they go to the animals. The animals and the plants together, they give back the protein to us, right? And by various ways, by their when all these living beings, when they die, right, decomposition of these dead bodies happen. That actually causes all the nitrogen to go back to the soil. So all this nitrogen which is there in the soil, it comes back to the soil. Again, it is taken up by the plants. So this is how one cyclic movement is going on in this case also. And this is only called as nitrogen cycle. So I hope all these topics are now very clear to you all children, right? And before I leave, I want to remind you once again, do subscribe the channel and don't forget to share the link of this video with your friends and classmates. Again, I will come with another video for you all. Till then, bye.